Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Wild scenes to end the fight between Jonnie Rice and Guido Vianello, with the referee Benji Estevez looking to rob Jonnie Rice of a technical knockout victory, but ultimately the commission stepped in and made him watch a replay, and Rice was the winner. So there's a little bit to cover here because the fight itself, Rice was sleepwalking through it. And then we get to round 6 and he lands a big right hand and it opens up a cut over the left eye of Guido Vianello. It was clear for all to see except for apparently the referee. So Guido Vianello gets out of the round, they work on the cut, comes back for round 7, but quickly after, the referee Benji Estevez was like, no, we need to get the doctor over, and the doctor says, no, that is a bad cut, he cannot continue. And then we hear Estevez say, tally up the scorecards, judges, this is going to points. And I think most of us that were watching this were like, what's going on here? And he ruled that it was from an accidental headbutt. I'm sure many of you who watched that fight, there was a bit of a collective outrage, because if it had been a headbutt, surely he would have seen it straight away and actually said something. And if it was so severe, would he have not, broken up the action? It was clear as day a punch. And here we go. This is the moment that Rice landed the punch, and the blood started pouring basically immediately after, within a second or two, down onto his chest. The referee, blind as a bat, and it was going to be one of the most horrific calls of recent memory if that had gone ahead. But fortunately, sanity prevailed. You had the commission step in. The commissioner came up to the rope and said, "What did you say you saw?" And the referee said a headbutt. And the commissioner said, "No, it was a punch. That's what I saw. Do you want to see some replay?" And from what the commentary team was saying, that there wasn't a replay situation in place. But the commission, at its discretion, made the referee watch the replay via the ESPN monitors of the commentators. And you had Joe Tessitore saying, this is what happened, see here, the cut, here's the blood, it was from a punch. He changes his mind and Jonnie Rice gets a technical knockout in the 7th round. The fight itself was actually pretty pedestrian. Jonnie Rice seemed to be conserving energy and not really engaging too much. He was actually frustrating Guido Vianello on the defensive end. He was slipping and sliding out of the way. Guido Vianello was jumping in. He was missing wildly at times, but he was the guy that was the aggressor. He was coming forward. He was still landing some jabs. He was outworking Jonnie Rice. And it sort of seemed like, look, if Jonnie Rice doesn't start to pick things up here, he's going to sleepwalk to a decision loss. And he has been in fights before, say like F.A. Jugba, where he didn't throw enough punches. And it was certainly the case in this one. The first 5 rounds wasn't really doing much at all. He was looking slick at times with the defense, but he was allowing Vianello to start racking up a lead and racing away with what looked like, if it continued, a decision win. But probably because he was a late replacement. He was coming into this one only at, a couple of weeks' notice. It looked like maybe, and this is just speculation, that he was looking to pick things up through the mid to late rounds, remembering Guido Vianello had never gone 10 rounds. This was the first time. So Rice actually in round 6 woke up, landed that massive counter, and there was a sense of urgency. And into the 7th as well, he was looking to land his shots. But he was, I don't want to say lucky, because obviously he planned for that to happen. And it is a case that, and there was someone arguing with me on Twitter about this, but I said it's another example, and this was in a tweet, where a punch has changed the course of a fight. It's not really up for debate and dispute. That punch opened the cut, and less than a round later, the fight was over. And because it was from a punch, Rice gets the win. So, Jonnie Rice was patient. He sort of bided his time and ultimately landed a shot that changed the course of the fight. That's just what happened. If anyone wants to argue with it, I'd be keen to hear your position. But Rice landed that punch, and ultimately got the win. So we can only speculate about what would have happened had he been able to continue, Guido Vianello, but it was a nasty cut, and here it is again. Nasty, nasty cut. And actually, Vianello has a habit for this, not just from this fight, but he got cut against Kingsley eBay, and arguably he lost that fight. And also there was from the amateurs cut open as well. So he does seemingly cut a little too easy. And this was the first loss of his career. His corner seemed disappointed at the outcome, but it was the right outcome in the end. The commission made the right call to intervene and use their discretion where it came to using the technology. I mean, someone had said to me on Twitter, was I just liking it because it was the decision that suited how I thought it went? And it was the right call. That's what I support in every situation. We want referees and officials making the right calls. It's really that simple. It's not about Jonnie Rice winning or Guido Vianello winning. On the basis of what we saw, had it continued, Vianello looked like he was, on course to race away with the decision. I mean, maybe someone will argue, should it have continued a little bit longer, see how it went, but obviously risking more damage to what is a nasty cut. I mean, obviously, people like Tyson Fury have gone on and continued fights and able to see the final round. So Vianello, a little unlucky because he was obviously winning that fight and comfortably. I hadn't given Jonnie Rice a round up until that 6th round. So on my card heading into the 7th, it was 5-1 at Vianello. And I think anyone who's been watching my channel recently knows that I don't necessarily rate Guido Vianello that high, but he was using activity and his work rate to pick up the points there. It was really a sort of tepid sort of effort from Rice until he landed that big punch. And we can only speculate that he was going to pick things up. But, he landed that shot, changed the course of the fight. So unlucky for Vianello. And for Rice, he was quoted as saying, and this is in the press release, "I did it again. Another undefeated fighter. I'm not here to call anyone out right now. I'm going to enjoy this victory and then see what's next." And possibly because Stephen Shaw lost the main event to F.A. Ajagba, he got outpointed there. It was a case in that fight. Stephen Shaw wasn't working hard enough and was outpointed by the big punching Ajagba, who just behind the back of the jab just really controlled him. I wouldn't mind seeing Rice and Shaw. They actually have fought 7 years ago. That was an early fight for Stephen Shaw, and when Rice was very early in his career as well. I think both have matured and Rice has got a lot better. I think it's more competitive the second time around. But Jonnie Rice, he's coming off a couple of good wins in a row now, a couple against Michael Polite Coffey, now this one against an unbeaten prospect in Vianello. I mean, and I know, while I don't really necessarily rate Guido Vianello, I think Jonnie Rice proved that maybe somewhat like a F.A. Ajagba, that he's got a certain position in the heavyweight division, and if you're not good enough, the gate is closed. And, it could be a tough and cruel sport, boxing, and a cut changed this fight, and Vianello ends up losing because of one. What'd you make of the fight? What'd you make of Guido Vianello and his performance? I mean, he looked good at times, but then also he was getting frustrated clearly with some of what Rice was doing, who was really sort of defending well, but he wasn't necessarily doing much on the other end of the scale with his offense. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.